It's time for another episode of Things About Witchtok That I Hate. So, y'all have seen a few of these at this point to know that I say some things that a lot of people get on board with, but then there's a few that just, So let's talk about something real quick. A lot of y'all are using the word gatekeeping without actually knowing what it means. So I am going to read it to you. The activity of controlling and usually limiting general access to something. So let's give an example of gatekeeping. There's a very nice lady. I don't know if she will appreciate me calling her nice lady, but she is a person of color that is a Norse pagan. And she's catching a lot of flack for her being a person of color and being Norse pagan, and people saying like, oh, you can't do that. That is a good example of gatekeeping and racism, really. But let's dissect that a little bit. So that is a grade A example of what gatekeeping is. But let me tell you what gatekeeping isn't. Correcting misinformation. That is not gatekeeping, whether you agree with it or not. So a good example that I used is if I see somebody that's getting ready to fertilize their garden with salt, and I'm going to be like, hey, don't do that. You're going to kill all your plants. Now, I know that, and you know that. But then this person's like, oh, well, you're wrong. There's no right way or wrong way to garden. And then they're going to go ahead and do it. And guess what's going to happen? Their fucking plants are going to die. Is that gatekeeping? No, it's not. That's me being someone that has gardened for a while and knows that salt's going to kill all your stuff and trying to stop somebody from making a mistake because they're undereducated in gardening. Witchcraft is no different. Is there a right way and a wrong way? That's up for you to decide. Personally, I firmly believe that there is a right way and a wrong way to do magic. But I digress. Y'all need to stop using this word gatekeeping when you don't even know what it means. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's gatekeeping. Just because you don't agree doesn't mean it's gatekeeping. If it's subjective material. Things like our Norse lady, obviously clear-cut gatekeeping. Also, Norse chickie, if you are watching this and I'm getting your pronouns wrong, I am very, very sorry. I did not think about that before I started filming. But if you know, you know. And to me, that is a good example of gatekeeping, and that seems to be a trend. But start getting your words right. Make sure you know what they mean before you say it. Well, guess what time it is? You see the cup. You know. You just know. It's time for another episode of Things on Witchtok That I Hate. So, I don't even know how to begin this. So, I've been on TikTok for almost a month now, in about 4 days. It'll be a month, my first month. There's a few things that I have noticed. Now, I know that we discussed the whole gatekeeping thing, but let's get on the flip side of that. So I have noticed that there's a lot of people on Witchtok particularly that like to flaunt that, oh, well, I teach or I do magic and all that stuff, and I want people to learn, and I want to learn, and da-da-da-da-da. But here's the thing. Some of these people, and I am not calling anybody out by name, and if we have noticed, I haven't thus far called anyone out by name or tagged or, stitched or duetted or anything like that. But getting to the point. Some of y'all just are terrible. And I believe the exact quote that I used in one of my comment section was, everybody cares more about throwing shade at each other than they care about actually teaching one another. And I feel like a lot of people jump on this bandwagon, going after each other, causing drama, always talking about drama, and oh, my name got brought up again, or oh, well, this person did, and this, and that, and, falling into that whole cancel culture and what have you. Now, so I understand that that's going to happen anywhere you go. But I want to put something out there for you, just some food for thought. when you do things like that, and when you engage, no matter how justified or unjustified it is, when you do that, what you do and say affects the entire community. So if you don't like people, talking about like, oh, they tried to hex the moon, oh, they tried to hex the fae, and things like that, don't put that stuff out there. I think the current trend is, oh, well, the gods are missing. The gods aren't missing. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But right now, let's get to this whole, let's not be jerks. Because regardless of whether you're a justified jerk or not, you are representing the entire community when you do things like that. And I mean, it's so simple to handle too, and I know that it's real hard, but don't engage. You don't have to engage. You are still in charge of yourself and your choices. You see the mug. You know it's tea. You know what time it is. Let's talk about things on Witchtok that I hate. So I've got a couple slotted, but we're gonna take it real easy and light first. Let's talk about love spells. Now, there is not a time when love spells are ethical. There's just not. Period. Now, let me tell you why. Now, we understand the concept of, don't mess with people's free will. Don't mess with people's free will. And let's say that you're still in that no moral area, and you start doing love spells on people. First of all, anybody that's experienced can tell you that that's going to backfire and blow up in your face horribly. They can be obsessive, they can stalk you, they can become dangerous, and really this is all on a whim. Because you got a crush on somebody at the time, or someone broke up with you and you didn't like it and you don't accept this, so you're gonna make them come back to you. But let me tell you about some other aspects of it. Just some food for thought. If you do a love spell on somebody, and let's say they fall in love with you, how will you ever know if they actually love you or if it's just that magic imitating love? Because you're never going to know. You will never trust those feelings. And it will slowly eat at you. So it kind of balances itself out. Except, you ruin somebody's life. Like, you really ruined somebody's life. And yeah, maybe you could undo the spell. Maybe you could backpedal it and remove it and everything. But you've still damaged this person. And you've still abused this person. So these magic spells, this stuff has to stop. And I know everybody's going to do that. Oh, everybody's practices their own. People can do whatever they want and all that jazz. But I mean, yeah, you can. You could do all these things. Doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean that it's not going to backfire. And it doesn't mean that there aren't other people that know how to counteract that stuff and make it blow up in your face. Just saying. Especially if this person is aware of another practitioner that knows how to look for these things. Like the sudden obsession and, oh, I've been thinking about you and all that jazz. So it's best just to not do it because it'll never be organic. You'll never know if it's real. And it's not worth the damage that you're going to cause. So I noticed this on a few videos about a week ago of people that were advocating possession as a good thing. So there's nothing about that word that's a good thing. So why would you think that's a good thing? Now I understand some of y'all work with demons, and I mean demons, not daemons. If you haven't seen that video, I go recommend it. But I understand that. Do I agree with it? No, but that's your prerogative. However, there is never a situation when possession is a good thing. Because it is not a natural thing. And we all know going against the natural order of things does not ever work out good. But, all that aside, let's talk about possession a little bit. So, did you know that demons are not the only thing that can possess? And I'm not talking like deities or anything, because I'm going to be honest with you, deities are not possessing you. They are not possessing you. That would be like us trying to possess a rat. Like, these are higher beings. They can manifest themselves. They don't have to possess. And if there is something that is possessing you that claims it's a deity, it probably ain't. Which leads me into my next point. Other things can possess. Other spirits can possess. Other entities can possess. Even people can possess. And it's actually not that uncommon for practitioners, conjurers, bad juju people, we will say, to possess another person. It does happen. I have seen it happen. And I know some of my older practitioners are going to know that this happens. And it's still, I mean, obviously it's not as common as it used to be. But, yeah. I mean, it's not as common as it used to be because people don't know how to do it anymore. But there's still enough people around that do know how to do it. So, be careful with that. Always make sure your protection is on point. Always make sure you're cautious of who you're working with and who you're connecting with. And I don't just mean online. Because there's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. And if you aren't well versed in working with spirits or demons or anything else for that matter, if you aren't, if you don't know the ins and outs of that, don't be doing it. And don't be getting possessed on purpose. That's just stupid. I'm sorry, but it's stupid.